The phone rang at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and when I saw Michael's name on the screen, my heart did that thing it's done since he was 5 years old. You know how it is, doesn't matter if your kid is 35, they're still your baby. My name is Kenny Rodriguez, I'm 58, a Navy veteran and retired electrician, and I thought I knew my son pretty well. Turns out I was dead wrong. I answered with a smile, expecting to hear about the grandkids or maybe an invite to Sunday dinner. Instead, Michael's voice was cold, distant, like he was reading from a script. "Hey Dad, just calling to let you know we moved to Florida last week." Forgot to mention it. The world stopped. I gripped the phone tighter, my coffee cup nearly slipping from my other hand. "You what? Florida? When did this happen?" "Yeah, Linda got this great job opportunity down in Tampa. We had to move fast, you know how it is. Sold the house, packed everything up. The kids are adjusting fine." I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the kitchen floor. Michael, Florida is over 1,000 miles away. You moved my grandchildren across the country, and you're just telling me now, Dad, it's been crazy. The packing, the house sale, getting Patricia and Scott enrolled in new schools. We just forgot to call. Forgot? Nobody forgets to tell their father they're moving to another state with his grandchildren. People hide it because they don't want the conversation, or because they've already decided you don't matter enough to include. Then I heard Linda in the background, her voice sharp and impatient. "Michael, don't drag this out. Just tell him we'll video call later." That's when it hit me. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment move. This was planned, calculated, and I was the last to know. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen staring at the walls, trying to make sense of what just happened. See, I'd been supporting Michael and his family for years. Not because they asked, but because I wanted to help. I'd given him my old pickup truck, let him use my contractor tools for side jobs, and even co-signed on their apartment lease. Every month I'd send $2,200 to help with rent and the kids' expenses. I thought I was being a good father and grandfather. But something about that call didn't sit right. The way Michael rushed through it, like he was checking something off a list. The way Linda's voice carried that edge of annoyance, like I was interrupting their new life. And the timing, why call in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon unless they needed something? I spent the rest of that evening walking around my house looking at the empty spaces where my grandchildren used to play. Patricia's art projects were still stuck to my refrigerator. Scott's Little League trophy sat on my mantle next to my Navy commendations. Had they even thought about saying goodbye to these memories? The next morning, I woke up with questions burning in my gut. Something wasn't adding up. Michael had been talking about moving for months, sure, but always in vague terms. Maybe someday we'll try Florida, or Linda's looking at opportunities down south. Never anything concrete. Never anything that suggested they were actually planning it. I decided to drive over to their old apartment building. When I got there, Dennis Murphy, the super I'd known for 15 years, looked genuinely surprised to see me. "Kenny, what brings you here?" "Thought you went with them to Florida." My stomach dropped. Went with who, Dennis? "Michael and Linda. They moved out 3 weeks ago." Middle of the night move, if you ask me. Movers came around midnight, loaded everything real quick. Strange way to do it, but I've seen stranger things. 3 weeks. They'd been gone 3 weeks and only told me yesterday. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "Dennis, any chance I could take a look at the apartment?" "I'm still on the lease as a co-signer." "Sure thing, Kenny. They left it in rough shape though. Didn't even clean out the storage unit properly." The elevator ride to the 8th floor felt like it took forever. When Dennis unlocked the door, I stepped into what looked like the aftermath of a tornado. They hadn't just moved, they'd fled. Cleaning supplies were scattered across the kitchen counter. Half-empty boxes sat in corners, and there were scuff marks on the walls where furniture had been dragged out carelessly. But it was what I found in the back bedroom that made my blood run cold. In the corner where Michael used to keep his makeshift office was a pile of junk they'd left behind. Mixed in with old magazines, broken picture frames, and unpaid bills, I found something that stopped me dead in my tracks. My Navy Challenge coin, the one I'd earned during my 6 years of service, was sitting in a dusty photo frame on top of a stack of papers. Next to it was a laminated copy of my electrical contractor's license, and beside that, a folder full of printed documents I'd never seen before. I picked up the frame and looked closer. The photos inside weren't family pictures. They were screenshots from some kind of website showing what looked like a professional office setup. And right there in the center of the display, like it was the company's prized possession, was my Navy Challenge coin. On the back of one photo, written in Michael's handwriting, was a note that made my hands shake. Rodriguez Electric Father and Son Partnership, established 1985. Father and son partnership? I'd never agreed to any partnership. Sure, I'd let Michael borrow my tools over the years, and I'd given him advice on electrical work when he asked. But a partnership, and established in 1985. That was the year I got my contractor's license, fresh out of the Navy. Michael was barely 2 years old. I opened the folder and found business cards, letterhead, and what looked like contract proposals, all bearing the name Rodriguez Electric Services and listing both Michael Rodriguez and Kenneth Rodriguez as principals. There were reference letters supposedly from satisfied customers, and at the bottom of each page was a footer. Veteran owned and operated since 1985. My military service, my hard-earned contractor's license, my reputation built over 30 years of honest work, it was all being used as marketing material for a business I knew nothing about. I sat down heavily on an old milk crate, the only furniture left in the room, and started going through the papers more carefully. There were invoice templates, equipment rental agreements, and what looked like bids on major construction projects. The amounts were staggering, jobs worth $45,000 and $55,000, even one for $65,000. These weren't the small residential side jobs I thought Michael was doing. This was commercial electrical work, the kind that requires serious credentials, insurance, and experience. The kind of work that could get people hurt or killed if not done properly. And according to these documents, I was supposed to be supervising all of it. I drove straight home with that folder burning a hole in my passenger seat. My garage workshop had always been my sanctuary, walls lined with properly organized tools. My workbench where I'd taught Michael basic electrical skills when he was a teenager, and a small desk where I kept my business files. Now I spread Michael's fake documents across that same workbench, and the betrayal hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't just borrowing Dad's tools for weekend projects. This was identity theft, fraud, and potentially criminal misrepresentation. I picked up my phone and called my lawyer, Timothy Walsh. Tim had handled my late wife Margaret's estate 3 years ago and knew our family situation. "Kenny, what's got you calling this late?" Tim's voice was concerned. It was past 8 p.m. "Tim, I need you to look at something. Can you come by tomorrow morning? It's about Michael, and it's serious." "How serious are we talking?" "Business fraud serious. Maybe criminal serious." Tim arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, and when I showed him the documents I'd found, his expression went from curious to grim real fast. He spread everything out on my kitchen table, pulling out his reading glasses and examining each paper carefully. "Kenny, this isn't just family drama. If Michael's been representing himself as your business partner or using your contractor's license number, that's fraud. And if he's been winning contracts based on your military service and credentials..." Tim shook his head. "Let me make some calls." While Tim worked his legal contacts, I decided to do some investigating of my own. I fired up my old laptop and searched for Rodriguez Electric Services, Florida. What I found made my stomach turn. Michael had built an entire website, professional looking with photos of electrical work, customer testimonials, and a prominent About Us section that made me want to throw the computer across the room. There was my Navy Challenge coin photographed in what looked like a fancy office setting. Below it was a paragraph describing the company's founder and lead electrical engineer, Kenneth Rodriguez, Navy veteran with over 30 years of electrical contracting experience. According to this website, I was the mastermind behind Rodriguez Electric Services, with Michael listed as operations manager and field supervisor. There were photos of expensive electrical equipment I'd never seen, testimonials from customers I'd never met, and claims about projects I'd never worked on. But the worst part was the military heritage section. Michael had photographed my Purple Heart certificate, the one that sat in a frame on my bedroom dresser, and posted it alongside text about how Rodriguez Electric was built on the foundation of military discipline, honor, and precision that only a Navy veteran can provide. My Purple Heart, the medal I'd earned during 6 difficult years of naval service, was being used to sell electrical services in Florida. I called my old Navy buddy Carl Stevens, who now worked for the State Contractors Licensing Board in Virginia. We'd served together and stayed in touch over the years. When I explained what I'd found, Carl's response was immediate and angry. "Kenny, this isn't just unethical, it's dangerous. If he's doing commercial electrical work without proper supervision, people could get hurt. You need to file complaints immediately. In Florida and here in Virginia." What kind of complaints? Fraudulent use of contractor credentials, misrepresentation of business partnerships, and unauthorized use of licensing numbers. "I'll walk you through the paperwork." By noon, Tim called back with news that made everything worse. His contacts had found business registration documents for Rodriguez Electric Services filed with the Florida Secretary of State. Michael had listed me as a silent partner and used my contractor's license number on all the official paperwork. There's more, Kenny. He also applied for and received a business equipment loan for $15,000 from a Tampa bank, listing you as guarantor. The loan was approved based on your credit score and business history. I never signed anything. I never even knew about this. That's the problem. Somehow he had enough personal information about you to forge the guarantee. social security number, contractor license number, military service dates. Either he stole this information or I gave it to him over the years without thinking about it. I finished all those times Michael had asked me to help him fill out job applications, insurance forms, or loan paperwork. All those quick questions about dates and numbers. He'd been collecting the pieces of my identity for years. That afternoon, I drove to the bank where I kept my business accounts I'd barely used since retiring but kept active for tax purposes. I wanted to check if there had been any unusual activity. The account manager, a young woman named Sarah, pulled up my records and frowned at her screen. "Mr. Rodriguez, I see you have a business equipment loan with Southern Florida Credit Union. Did you want to discuss payment options?" "I don't have any loans with Southern Florida Credit Union." Her frown deepened. "According to this credit report, you guaranteed a $15,000 equipment loan for Rodriguez Electric Services in Tampa, Florida. It was approved 6 weeks ago." 6 weeks ago. Right around the time Michael started mentioning Florida more frequently, back when I thought he was just dreaming about warmer weather and better opportunities. I asked Sarah to print out everything she could find. The loan documents showed Michael's signature as the primary borrower, but there was my name as guarantor, complete with what looked like my signature and all my personal financial information.
"Ma'am, I never signed these documents. This is fraud." Sarah's expression shifted to professional concern. "Sir, I need to refer you to our fraud department immediately."
While waiting to speak with the fraud investigator, I called Carl back. "It's worse than we thought. He's got me on the hook for $15,000 in equipment loans I never authorized. Kenny, you need to file a police report tonight. This has moved beyond licensing violations into identity theft and financial fraud." The bank's fraud investigator, a serious man in his 40s named Mr. Peterson, listened to my story and examined the loan documents. "Mr. Rodriguez, these signatures look very good. Whoever did this had access to multiple examples of your handwriting and knew your personal information intimately." "It was my son." Peterson nodded grimly. "Family fraud is unfortunately common. The good news is we can flag this account and begin an investigation. The bad news is you'll need to file formal complaints with law enforcement and provide substantial documentation proving you didn't authorize these transactions." By evening, my kitchen table looked like a war room. Tim had helped me organize everything into neat piles. Fraudulent business documents, forged loan papers, screenshots from the fake website, and photos of my military decorations being used without permission. "Kenny," Tim said, "we've got enough here for both civil and criminal complaints. The question is how far you want to take this." I looked at a photo of Michael and Patricia and Scott that sat on my counter, taken last Christmas when they'd all been here for dinner. 3 months ago, we were a happy family. Now I was preparing to potentially send my own son to prison. "Tim, if some stranger had stolen my identity, used my military service to commit fraud, and forged my name on loan documents, what would you advise? Full prosecution." "No question. Then that's what we do, family or not. This is criminal." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling thinking about the little boy who used to sit in my garage while I worked, asking endless questions about electricity and tools. How had that curious kid become someone who could steal his father's identity and exploit his military service for money? Tomorrow, I would file formal complaints with the Florida Contractors Licensing Board, the police, and the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Tonight, I mourned the son I thought I knew. The next morning, I was at the police station when they opened at 8 a.m. Detective Maria Santos listened to my story with the kind of professional attention that told me she'd seen this before. When I laid out all the documents on her desk, she whistled low. "Mr. Rodriguez, this is textbook identity theft with some business fraud thrown in. Your son really did his homework." She picked up the forged loan documents. "These signatures are good enough to fool most people. He's been planning this for a while. What happens now? We file a formal report. I forward everything to our financial crimes unit, and they coordinate with Florida authorities. Fair warning though, family cases like this can get complicated. Are you sure you want to press charges against your own son?" I thought about Patricia and Scott, probably getting ready for school in some Florida classroom, not knowing their father was a criminal. "Detective, if I don't stop this now, what's to keep him from doing it again? To me or to someone else?" "Nothing," she said simply. "File the paperwork." By 10 a.m., I was at the Contractors Licensing Board office with Carl Stevens. The complaint process was thorough and unforgiving. Carl walked me through each section, explaining how Michael's actions violated multiple regulations and state laws. "Kenny, once we submit this, the Florida board has 48 hours to investigate and respond. If they find evidence of fraudulent licensing use, they can shut down Rodriguez Electric Services immediately and fine your son up to $10,000. "Good. There's more. Any contracts he signed using your credentials become null and void. His clients can demand immediate refunds for work that can't be completed. That afternoon, Tim helped me contact Michael's clients directly. We'd found phone numbers and email addresses on the fake website, and I wanted them to know the truth before they lost any more money. The first call was to Mrs. Patterson in Tampa, an elderly woman who'd hired Rodriguez Electric to rewire her kitchen. "Mrs. Patterson, this is Kenneth Rodriguez. I understand you hired my son Michael to do electrical work." "Oh yes, Mr. Rodriguez. Michael spoke so highly of you. Said you were supervising all his projects with your Navy precision. Such a nice young man, and we feel so much safer knowing a military veteran is overseeing the work." My heart sank, ma'am. "I need to tell you something important. I'm not supervising any work in Florida. I live in Virginia and haven't been involved in any electrical projects for over 2 years." Silence on the other end. "Then, I don't understand." "Michael showed me your Purple Heart certificate. He said you were partners." "Ma'am, I never authorized any partnership, and I never gave permission to use my military credentials. I'm calling to warn you that Rodriguez Electric Services is operating under false pretenses." Mrs. Patterson's voice turned cold and worried. "Are you telling me the work isn't being supervised by a licensed electrician?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you. I'd recommend stopping all work immediately and consulting with another contractor." I made 6 more calls that day. Same story each time. Michael had used my military service, my contractor credentials, and my reputation to win jobs worth over $200,000 total. Every client thought I was the experienced supervisor ensuring quality work. By Thursday, the dominoes started falling fast. The Florida Contractors Licensing Board suspended Rodriguez Electric Services pending investigation. The equipment loan went into immediate default when the bank discovered the fraudulent guarantee, and Michael's clients began demanding refunds for work that couldn't be legally completed. That's when my phone started ringing. "Dad, what the hell did you do?" Michael's voice was panicked, desperate. "They shut down the business. The bank wants their money back. Mrs. Patterson is threatening to sue us." I stayed calm, my voice steady as steel. "I told the truth, Michael. I informed everyone that Rodriguez Electric Services was operating under false pretenses and that I never authorized use of my credentials. But Dad, I was building something for our family. I was going to bring you down here as a real partner once we got established. By lying, by stealing my identity and using my military service to commit fraud, I didn't steal anything. I just used your name to get started. I was going to pay you back." "With what money, Michael? You don't have an electrical license? You can't legally do commercial electrical work. Every contract you signed was fraudulent." Silence on the other end. Then Linda's voice in the background. "This is insane. He's destroying us over paperwork." "Michael," I continued, "you have 48 hours to contact every client and arrange refunds. You also need to return the $15,000 in equipment immediately. If you don't, Tim files criminal charges on Monday morning. Dad, please, we can't afford refunds. We used that money for the move, deposits, everything. Come down here, let's work this out as a family. No, you made these choices without consulting me. Now you deal with the consequences without my help." I hung up and immediately called my bank to freeze the automatic transfers I'd been sending each month. $2,200 a month for 3 years, over $79,000 I'd given them, thinking I was helping family, money they'd used to fund their fraudulent business while stealing my identity. Over the weekend, Michael tried everything. Calls, texts, emails begging me to drop the complaints. Linda even tried calling my sister Helen, asking her to talk sense into me, but I wasn't backing down. On Monday morning, Tim and I met with FBI agent Rebecca Martinez from the Financial Crimes Division. She'd reviewed all our documentation and was ready to move forward. "Mr. Rodriguez, your son's activities cross state lines and involve federal banking regulations. We're prepared to file charges for wire fraud, identity theft, and bank fraud. Combined, he's looking at 5 to 15 years in federal prison, and if he cooperates. Full restitution, public acknowledgement of fraud, and supervised probation. But he'd have to make it right with every client and every institution he defrauded." That afternoon, the Florida Licensing Board moved fast. They revoked Michael's business permits and fined him $8,300 for fraudulent use of contractor credentials. More importantly, they sent official notifications to all his clients explaining that Rodriguez Electric Services was operating illegally and that any work performed was not properly supervised. The domino effect was immediate and devastating. Michael lost all his active contracts. Clients demanded refunds totaling over $150,000. The equipment he'd bought with the fraudulent loan was repossessed, and the landlord of his fancy Tampa office space, the one where he'd displayed my Navy Challenge coin like a trophy, terminated his lease for misrepresentation. By Wednesday, Michael and Linda were living in a cheap motel with Patricia and Scott, trying to figure out how to survive without the income from their collapsed fraud scheme. That's when they decided to come home. I was in my garage Wednesday evening, reorganizing the tools Michael hadn't taken when I heard car doors slam in my driveway. Through the window, I saw them walking up the path, Michael looking defeated, Linda angry as ever, and my grandchildren trailing behind with confused, tired expressions. Patricia ran to me first. "Grandpa, we missed you so much. Florida was scary and loud, and Mom and Dad were always fighting." I hugged them both, my heart breaking for what these innocent kids had been put through because of their parents' greed and stupidity, but I couldn't let emotion override justice. Not this time. Michael approached the garage slowly, like he was walking to his own execution. "Dad, we need to talk. This has gone too far. We lost everything, have you?" I pulled out a folder Tim had prepared, because according to these FBI documents, you still owe $18,700 in refunds to defrauded clients, plus $15,000 to the bank, plus $8,500 to Els in fines. Losing everything would actually be an improvement. Linda stepped forward, her face red with anger and desperation. "You destroyed our lives. The kids don't have anywhere to live. You want your grandchildren homeless?" I looked past her to Patricia and Scott, their innocent faces caught in the middle of this mess their parents had created. These children had done nothing wrong, but they were paying the price for their parents' crimes. "The kids can come inside," I said firmly. "They can shower, eat, and rest, but you two need to understand something. Respect isn't automatic, and trust has to be rebuilt." I pulled out the folder Tim had prepared and handed it through the garage door opening. "This is a restitution agreement. You'll pay back every penny you stole, plus penalties and legal fees. You'll also both find legitimate employment within 30 days and maintain it without lying, cheating, or stealing." Michael's hands shook as he took the papers. "Dad, we can't pay back $200,000. We don't have anything left. Then you'll work for it. Every legitimate dollar you earn goes toward restitution until it's paid in full. And the kids will stay with me during school weeks until you can prove you can provide stable housing through honest work." "You're taking our kids?" Linda shrieked. "I'm protecting them from the chaos you created. When you can show me 6 months of steady employment and lawful income, we'll discuss shared custody." Tim had included specific conditions in the agreement. Michael had to write personal apology letters to every client he'd defrauded, explaining exactly how he'd misrepresented his. No corporate lawyers, no vague language, just honest accountability for what he'd done. He also had to complete 200 hours of community service and attend financial responsibility counseling. Linda had to find employment and contribute equally to the restitution payments. Both of them had to submit to quarterly financial audits to ensure they weren't running new scams. "And if we don't sign," Michael asked, his voice barely a whisper, "then Agent Martinez files federal charges tomorrow morning. You'll be looking at 5 to 15 years in prison, and I'll seek permanent custody of Patricia and Scott." I watched my son's face cycle through anger, desperation, and finally resignation. The alternative was federal prison, and even Linda realized they couldn't fight a fraud case with this much evidence. "Where are we supposed to live?" she asked. "That's your problem to solve. You're adults who made adult decisions. Figure it out like adults." It took 3 days, but Michael signed the agreement. The alternative was criminal prosecution that would destroy any chance of rebuilding their lives. Tim filed the agreement with the court, making it legally binding and enforceable. Michael found work as an apprentice electrician with Henderson Construction, starting at $15 per hour, under the supervision of a master electrician. It was honest work, but humbling for someone who'd been pretending to run major commercial projects. Linda got a job as a pharmacy technician at a CVS near their new apartment, a small 2-bedroom place in a working-class neighborhood. Nothing like the luxury they'd been chasing in Florida, but clean and safe. The kids moved in with me during the week and stayed with their parents on weekends. Patricia and Scott adjusted quickly to the routine. They had their own rooms, help with homework, and the stability their parents had failed to provide. Every Sunday we had dinner together. Michael would bring his pay stubs and timesheets, showing his progress toward becoming a licensed electrician through legitimate channels. Linda brought receipts showing their contributions to the restitution fund, usually $800 to $1,000 per month between both their jobs. It was slow going, but they were learning what honest work felt like. 3 months into the arrangement, Michael approached me in my garage while I was teaching Scott basic tool safety. "Dad," he said quietly, "I need to say something. I was wrong, not just about the business stuff, but about everything. I took advantage of your love for the kids and your desire to help us. I'm ashamed of what I did." I looked at my son, really looked at him. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something I hadn't seen in years, genuine humility. His hands were rough from actual electrical work, His clothes were simple work gear, and his eyes had lost that calculating look I'd started noticing over the past few years. Apology accepted, I said, but Michael, trust isn't rebuilt with words. It's rebuilt with consistent, honest actions over time. He nodded. I understand. And Dad, thank you for not just cutting us off completely. A lot of fathers would have walked away permanently. I thought about it. I admitted. But these kids deserve better than parents who think fraud and shortcuts are acceptable ways to get ahead. They deserve to see what honest work and personal responsibility look like. 6 months later, Michael completed his electrical apprenticeship program and was promoted to a journeyman position. Linda had advanced to lead pharmacy technician and was taking night courses in business administration legitimately this time. They'd moved to a better apartment and were making steady progress on the restitution payments. More importantly, they were building something real instead of living off lies and stolen credentials. Last month, Patricia made honor roll and Scott joined Little League. They live in a stable environment with me during the week and see their parents building legitimate careers on weekends. The kids are proud of their parents' progress instead of confused by constant schemes and financial drama. My Navy Challenge coin sits in its proper place now on my dresser next to Margaret's picture and my contractor's license. Not as a prop in someone else's fraud, but as a reminder of what real service and sacrifice represent. The monthly transfers stopped permanently. Instead of sending Michael money, I taught him skills, real electrical knowledge that will serve him for life. When Patricia and Scott ask about work ethic and integrity, I can point to their father's transformation as proof that people can change when they're forced to face consequences. People ask if I feel bad about how hard I came down on Michael and Linda. The truth is, I sleep better now than I have in years. Not because I enjoyed watching them struggle, but because they're finally building something legitimate instead of living as parasites. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to enable someone's worst impulses. Michael thought being my son gave him the right to exploit my military service and steal my professional identity. I taught him that family relationships require mutual respect, honesty, and accountability. You might think I was too harsh, but I'd rather have a son who works as an apprentice electrician with integrity than one who runs fraudulent businesses using stolen credentials. Character matters more than comfort, and respect must be earned, especially within families. As I watch Michael teaching Scott proper wire stripping techniques in my garage, using skills he actually learned instead of faked, I see hope for our family's future. Built on truth this time, instead of convenient lies, they forgot to tell me they were moving. I made sure they'll never forget the lesson that followed. Trust is earned through consistency, not blood relations, and sometimes the greatest act of love is teaching consequences rather than offering comfort. A man's legacy isn't measured by what he gives his children, but by what he teaches them to build for themselves.